Hello Internet, I'm back again. Real quick video and a little bit more, last little bit of Halloween fun before we break for a while, and I may not see you for a week or two. But something else kind of cropped up here that is role-playing related, and part of the reason I kind of started doing stuff like this is, and I know not a whole lot of people really give a shit about this, but part of what motivated me here is I have a huge passion for role-playing games, and I like a lot of the stories that me and my friends kind of started writing with each other, and I always thought it should be recorded in some way, and it's the type of thing that not really a whole lot of people care about, but it's like I kind of wanted to preserve it somewhere. So that's part of the reason why, on YouTube I like to post my friends' role-playing games, and even before that I had a blog. I still got that blog, I just haven't updated in a long time. Dreadpirate Sci-Fi Reviews, where mostly I just talked about the role-playing games me and Xenius were doing. Interestingly enough, though, since, basically Xenius and Malmoto and I typically play on Discord, very recently, though, I did find a IRL Dungeons and Dragons group. And we've started playing some games, and just kind of like, a group of us met in class, and we just started hanging out, and we just kind of like on the spur of the moment decided to play. I had a lot of my books with me, so we started running something, and I wasn't sure what to do, and it was Halloween, and I already had the Halloween Spooktacular on my mind, so I wound up just kind of running the Spooktacular with them, and we've had 2 sessions, and of course we typically meet like at school, so I mean, it would be I don't know if I could convince these guys to come on camera or meet us in the Discord or whatnot, so you all never gonna hear about it unless I tell you about it. So I figured I'd do a quick video here, basically kind of recapping this storyline. And basically, this is an alternate universe version of the Halloween Spooktacular. It's the exact same scenario, just with different characters. And of course, for those of you who watched the Halloween Spooktacular, the primary storyline, not the whole Silent Hill thing, was that the characters meet at Lake Okee, and it's actually based off of a D6 Evil Dead role-playing game module I found, where people meet at this lake, but there's some kind of horrible ancient monster god or demon, a Lovecraftian creature, a great old one, is sleeping within the lake. And in the original module, it's called Samoset, and the creature's tentacles are coming out and occasionally grabbing people and turning them into deadites. And from there, the people that are staying in the town have to fight to survive the night and maybe find a way to put a stop to Samoset and kill it. I decided to change it and basically use it as a framework and decide that it was set around the series finale of Ash vs. the Evil Dead, where meanwhile in Elk Grove, Ash's whole hometown, while the Dark Ones have used the Necronomicon to raise up Kandar the Destroyer, and armies of Deadites are taking over the place, and Pablo quickly realizes that basically these demons like Kandar the Destroyer are rising up all over the world, and the world is ending. Ash and his friends have to do one more last stand against the evil. They resurrect Kelly, and then Ash gets his daughter Kelly and Pablo out of town, where he takes on Kandar the Destroyer himself, kills it, and then wakes up God knows how long in the future. The world is a dystopian apocalypse, and this hot either robot or cyborg lady wakes him up, and he's got a brand new robot hand, and you are needed to save the world, and Ash is going to go on adventures in the far future. My idea is that Ash wound up meeting up with his old friends, and at some distant point in time in the future. Pablo is already a brujo especial, and by this point, in terms of game terminology, he's like a 21st level shaman. Kelly's freaking Captain America or John Connor. She's freaking leading the human resistance, and they figure out that basically there's this one town, Lake Okee, that's kind of near Elk Grove, where one of the elder demons woke up that was particularly dangerous, and if they just stopped that elder demon, they could put a stop to the dystopian future that they brought about, or at least make it not so bad, and it could be a stronghold for it can basically prevent humanity from being wiped out by the Deadites. So, and really the entire excuse for this is to do a monster mash. It's basically to just throw. I have a lot of D20 stats for all my favorite monsters: the aliens, the predators, Hellraiser, Pennywise the Clown from It, Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees. I've got a lot of. There's been a bunch of open source D20 creators who have actually come up with, like, just basically pick their favorite franchise and make a D20 Dungeons and Dragons game out of it. And they're really, really great. And I've got a bunch of these books, never have an opportunity to use them. It's Halloween, I'm fucking using them. So really, my mental state here is I'm going to use this as a framework and just throw a bunch of monsters in there. So that's really what I was kind of going for with the Halloween Spooktacular. So once again, my player character, glorified NPC, is Ash. Ash is back, but this time the initial 3 players are completely different. Instead of it being Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Moonman, and the Grim Reaper, my main characters are Aba, who is, I believe, a Keyblade Master from one of the Kingdom Hearts games. I'm not the biggest Kingdom Hearts. I'm a big fan of Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and I like them well enough, but then at some point, Kingdom Hearts just lost me. So this player here, she's a huge Kingdom Hearts fan, so she decided, like, she knows, like, everything, like, inside and out, but she also acknowledges how silly the franchise can get. But so she decided to play Aba from Kingdom Hearts. I loosened up kind of my setup here, where it's like I still encourage them to play horror characters, classic horror characters, but they could play basically whatever they want. And this time, since we were kind of meeting up on the spur of the moment, I used like a slightly different system than the D20 system. I used which I can't really talk about right now, but it's a much simpler system that me and another friend came up with, and just to kind of speed things along. And I said, hey, you know what, play whatever you want. So she played the Keyblade Master Aba. My other friend decided to play Christine, the Stephen King character from the novel Christine, who's the killer car. And finally, my other friend decided to play Lord Slug from Dragon Ball Z. So 2 villains and 1 hero. So essentially, instead of Elvira staying at the cabin, it was Aba was staying there for the evening. Aba heard the scream outside, and instead of going out there and shooting that nice little girl in the face, unlike another player character, she realizes that there's like, oh, it's just a teenage, like a cheerleader and a guy, making out. That's no big deal. And then all of a sudden, a car being driven by nobody comes up down the street and decides to run those 2 kids down. She rescues the kids, fights the car, and fends it off. And the car drives off to the beach. So that's the first encounter with Christine. She then encounters Ash, who saw the situation. I was going to have Ash come in and help out in the fight. And Ash was confused, realized that like no one was driving that car. But then he also noticed that the lady has a magic key that she can spontaneously disappear with a flick of her wrist. So he immediately suspects something's up, and this might be one like it may be too like the evil of the evil may be already loose here. So he goes and pops her in the nose real quick, and nothing happens, and he feels like an asshole, and he apologizes, and he explains the situation. Explains that tomorrow Kanda the Destroyer is going to rise up. There's some kind of ancient demon monster in the middle of the lake. They need to get rid of it, otherwise humanity's going to be doomed. So she agrees, sure, fine, she's going to sign up for it. So we got an alliance of 2 good guys. We got Ash and Aba teaming up to go figure things out. They go down to the lake. They find Christine at the lake, who's just kind of like, the car is just kind of standing in front of the water, and then decides to drive off and head towards the town. It was kind of weird. I didn't quite understand what the guy playing Christine was going for here. And I was kind of hoping that Aba would going to be a type of scholarly character. Like, she's a Keyblade Master. She might know about magic. She might be a better person to read the Necronomicon than Ash. No. Ash explains that, like, look, I mean, like, there's a spell in here that can get rid of this thing, but I don't know what it is, and every time I read the book, things go bad. But then there's nothing they can do, so guess what? Ash reads from the book, and all hell breaks loose. Now, but, like, prior to that, there's something else going on. Meanwhile, in low Earth orbit, Lord Slug's spaceship has arrived at Earth, and Lord Slug specifically has come to Earth to attempt to take it over, mine it for resources and whatnot. He's got he did use the Dragon Balls. He's got his youth, and he's good to go. He sends down one of his minions to. Meanwhile, like, one of his minions on board the ship, like a scientist, realizes that there's some weird energy readings coming over the side of Lake Okee. Very, very strange energy readings. So he sends one of his minions out. I think the minion he sends out is called Malmacha or something like that. In the comics, DBZ fans, correct me on the name on this, but it's one of the. If you've seen the Lord Slug movie, or a Dragon Ball Z movie in general, you typically have like a main villain that they're making up for the movie. That's like the star, like in this case, Lord Slug. And then there's like kind of like sub-villains. There's like, it has minion. The guy's got like different types of minions that Goku and friends also have to fight. So in this case, there's like a cyborg guy, and there's also this monster guy who's like a big frog. It's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I remember the guy. And the frog guy's main power, he's a big, scary frog monster, but he can also make little tiny frogs pop up in his body and jump out and attack people. So Lord Slug says, like, all right, we'll send the frog guy down to go check it out. Frog guy jumps off the ship and just flies down through Earth's orbit, survives re-entry because he's a DBZ character, falls into the lake. A couple minutes pass, and he comes out of the lake, but something's wrong. He's a little bit paler. His eyes are white. He's shaking and jittering. Yeah, I now have a Dragon Ball Z alien monster that's a Deadite, and that's pretty badass to me. So like Lord Slug and like minions call him up on the communicator. He's like, well, what the fuck's wrong with you? And he's like, I'll swallow your soul, Lord Slug. I'll swallow your soul. So it starts flying back up. Lord Slug seems unamused by all this, but basically, the Deadite Malmacho, whatever his name is, Deadite frog alien gets on the hull of the ship and starts like slamming on the ship, trying to break through the hull and go and eat people. Lord Slug sends a bunch of his troops out there to deal with, and then starts going back up into space and allows all his men to burn up in re-entry because he doesn't give a shit. Meanwhile, Ash and Aba notice the spaceship and realize, oh shit, it's happening. It's aliens. Great. So he's worried things are gonna get worse. Eventually the frog guy breaks in and starts killing more of Lord Slug's troops. Lord Slug does not seem to give a shit. Lord Slug just says, like, whatever, take care of it. And he sends, like, another character of his who's, like, a blonde guy who's, like, a cyborg to go just deal with the problem. And so his crew is desperately trying to fight the frog Deadite guy, and he's trying to deal with it. And he just leaves his ship. His ship's, like, high up in Earth's atmosphere, but he teleports himself out and is kind of like floating above, like a couple miles above the lake, looking down at it. Now, so for those of you familiar with Evil Dead, yeah, he's gonna have a rude awakening when he comes back to that ship. I have plans. Oh, everything's gonna be fine. We're DBZ characters, like, yeah, the evil's on your ship. I have plans for that. So Lord Slug's out there looking about. Ash reads from the book. The ground shakes. Bad things start happening. The Kandari demons start flying around all over the place. People start getting possessed. People start getting turned into Deadites. One of the things that happened right before, like, Lord Slug left the ship was they noticed another ship flying out of... that was, like, crash landing, was suspiciously... He asked his head scientist, like, what kind of ship was that? And it was like, oh, it's a Yachtja ship. A Predator ship, perhaps? How else do you think I got the aliens and the Predator the location? Like, basically, whatever he did with the book caused, like, some kind of crazy effect to... Rule number one with Evil Dead is that, like, there are no rules. So I figured, like, the book can do anything. The book caused such a great disturbance it caused a Yachtja Predator ship to crash. And so that's how I basically got Predators and aliens into the whole story. So anyway, Aba quickly realizes, oh, Ash fucked up and he made things worse. And, like, but before they can complain about too much, they get attacked by Deadites. So they fight the Deadites. They're a pretty good team. Ash is able to chainsaw some heads off, and, like, Aba's able to slice them up with a Keyblade. They're doing pretty good. Meanwhile, they notice that there's this green dude just kind of floating above everything. He's looking at the tentacles that are kind of rising up out of the lake, and decides to use his finger beam and blow up one of the tentacles. Well, he does, and as a result, another tentacle shoots up and grabs him. Starts grabbing him. He's wrestling off the tentacle, and then all of a sudden he feels very, very weak and very, very old. And he can't grow giant, and the tentacle grabs him. And before he knows it, there's a clown nearby talking about how that we all float down here. Pennywise showed up. Pennywise basically tapped into his worst fear, which is getting old, and basically was able to sap the energy out of him. He tried to take a bite out of him, but then, like, Lord Slug headbutted him in the face. He's not, it's not completely gone. The tentacle then shoots him down underneath the water and brings it face to face with what's coming out of the ground. And it's Cthulhu. It is Great Cthulhu. Cthulhu's head. Why is Cthulhu here in a lake in the middle of the United States instead of the Pacific Ocean? Because fuck you, that's why. Because I want a monster match. I want all my favorite monsters. Cthulhu's one of my favorite monsters because I love Call of Cthulhu. So, for whatever reason, Cthulhu's in a lake. It's Evil Dead. It didn't have to, there are no rules. He's just here now. He's here now because he's on vacation. I don't know. Something. Fuck you. Anyway, so he's confronting him. There's their little taunting back and forward. I think before he got sucked down, Ash and Aba tried to help him and were attacking the tentacle, but then the tentacle shot away. Meanwhile, suddenly Aba looks around and the entire place is being swallowed in darkness, and she notices little shadows and dark sides and other like Heartless from Kingdom Hearts popping up all over the place, and she realizes the world's being swallowed in darkness and she's failed. And she hears the clown taunting her. Meanwhile, however, Ash can see the clown. So Ash picks a fight with the clown. She snaps out of it. Aba and Ash start fighting Pennywise. They have a big kick-ass fight with Pennywise. Funny moment is I managed to successfully drag Aba into the deadlights twice. Where basically I one of my attacks I got like close up to her and looked her in the eye, and she got swallowed in the deadlights and she got sucked into the Macroverse and was about to get swallowed into its true form, the spider, or like the formless planet full of deadlight hands coming out. She almost got swallowed into that, but I figured like her Keyblade powers would either translate to her in her astral form, or if nothing else, she believes she has them, and that the Macroverse, its childlike belief and whatnot, is a place where it's your astral form, your psychic form. It's like if you believe you can do something, you could do it. So she still had access to her Keyblade. So she was able to use the Keyblade to create a portal to get herself out of there. She got herself back to her location, but she's still, like, she's disembodied now. She's looking at her body, which is standing there looking at the clown, drooling, and she's just floating ambiently about it. Then Pennywise looks at her again and draws her back. It happened twice. He draw back in and try to swallow her again. She managed to get the Keyblade out, and this time she managed to, like, fly towards her body, get back inside. They fight Pennywise. Finally, Ash almost blows Pennywise's heads off, and Pennywise just, like, escapes by creating a bunch of cloud of bubbles. Teleports away and whispers and tells him something like he's the only one that could read the book, and he's the only one that could help them get rid of like fix things and save the day. And otherwise it's going to be too late for them. Of course, especially if you've seen the other game, you know Pennywise has his own reason for getting the book. Meanwhile, under the lake, Cthulhu's about to stab one of his tentacles right into Lord Slug's chest, and is going to hit him with a pulse of evil energy and turn him into a deadite. But, like, since the clown is distracted and no longer paying his attention to Lord Slug discovers that he's no longer old, he's young again, and he's got his powers back. And before the tentacle can go back in, Lord Slug's in a awesome, triumphant, badass moments like, I'm not going down like a bitch! Boom! He grows giant and starts punching Cthulhu in the head, which prompts Cthulhu to break out. I now have this Godzilla fight between Lord Slug and Great Cthulhu, just beating the shit out of each other in the middle of the lake, and it's freaking awesome. Meanwhile, Christine's made it to town. The town's full of chaos. People are running. Deadites are running around biting and tearing people to pieces. And Christine wants to get in on the fun. Christine's evil. And Christine has so far not been able to actually kill anybody. So, Christine starts running around, tries to ram a bunch of people in the crowd. They scatter and get away. He missed. Meanwhile, nobody knows why there's a car riding around with nobody driving it, but they don't care because they're being chased by undead demon monsters. So one guy just jumps into Christine, which is a convertible, and starts trying to get him to turn on. Meanwhile, Christine notices on a couple of rooftops there's these strange armored creatures with these long pointed heads and no eyes and second mouths hissing constantly, going that are looking at the guy and thus looking at Christine. They're xenomorphs. They're alien xenomorphs. So that's going on. Meanwhile, back at the shore of the lake, Aba and Ash have just defeated or just scared off Pennywise, and then all of a sudden, out of the just out from the shore, comes into the face talking about yeah, you can't read that book, Ash. You don't know how to do it, but I can do it. I can read it for you, and I can save the day. I say, but you got to trust me. And that person is wearing a derby hat, a red and green sweater, and a big claw, and a fucked up face. It's Freddy Krueger. You gotta give me the book, Ash. I'm the only person that can save the day now. Ha 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 ha. Meanwhile, coming up out of the lake, it's Jason Voorhees from the other side. For those of you who don't know, Evil Dead has crossed over with both Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees on 2 occasions. There's been two really awesome comic books: Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash and Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash 2. Where basically Ash encountered Freddy and Jason, fought them, but also he had the book with him, so Deadites were involved as well. Well, in the sequel, Freddy Krueger gets his hands on the Necronomicon, and he uses it to take over the United States, with an army of Deadites and Jason Voorhees at his side. And the only way to save the day, Ash has got to save the day by getting a who's who of Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street characters to help him defeat Freddy Krueger. And it's freaking awesome. So that's what I'm referencing there. So basically, Freddy knows how to read the book. Freddy could put a stop to Cthulhu and basically send him away. Problem is, Freddy can't be trusted with that book. Freddy's going to do bad things with the book. So Freddy kind of tries diplomacy. He kind of tries, like, reasoning with him. It's like, just give me the book. I'm the only one that can use it. Just give me the book. And, of course, Ash doesn't trust him because he knows he's dangerous. Aba's not sure if she can trust him or whatnot. While they're talking, Jason Voorhees just comes up and attacks the two of them with a machete because he remembers Freddy, he remembers Ash, and he's going to stab them both. Because that's how Jason rolls. So, like, Ash winds up getting this fight with Jason Voorhees as a result. Meanwhile, back on the shore, Christine tries to dislodge his, tries to basically kill the human that's jumped inside of him by suddenly speeding up and knocking him backwards and hitting him. But the guy just kind of falls in the seat and buckles up and thinks he's driving the car now. So naturally, Christine objects to this. So what Christine does is Christine has some of her wires come out of the car and start electrocuting him. Meanwhile, the xenomorphs give chase and start chasing the car, trying to get to the juicy human inside. Christine eventually winds up plunging itself into the lake, drowning the human, unbuckling the seatbelt, and the xenomorphs dive in, swimming after it, and start biting the crap out of it and eating it and trying to kill it. And Christine is now stuck on the bottom of the lake, not sure what to do. I'll get back to Christine in a minute. Back on the shore, Aba eventually decides she can't trust Freddy Krueger. She can't give him, like, I think basically Aba, like, Ash wound up giving Aba the book because he trusts her with it. But she feels I can't trust Freddy Krueger with this. She puts it in her bag, for inventory. It's like, I can't trust you with this. You're clearly evil and whatnot. Well, Freddy don't like that answer, so Freddy attacks Aba. So Jason Voorhees is fighting Ash. Freddy Krueger's fighting Aba. The end result is that Jason Voorhees actually, Ash actually managed to successfully blow off Freddy's head, which didn't kill him. But then, right as Jason was about to fall on top of Ash pulls out the Kandarian dagger and runs, dodges out of the way of Jason trying to fall on him, stabs him through the heart. The Kandarian dagger kills Jason Voorhees. So Ash saved the day there. Meanwhile, Aba dukes it out with Freddy Krueger. They're classic, sword, claw versus Keyblade. They're fighting the crap out of each other, and finally she winds up defeating Freddy Krueger by incapacitating him. She chops off his arms and his legs and part of his face, which doesn't kill him, but she's incapacitated him, and they're gonna try to put him into a place where they can bargain with him a little better. It's to actually get him to read the book in order to put a stop to Cthulhu and the evil rising. But not if he tries anything, tries to use it for ultimate power, they can stop him. Ash, meanwhile, tries to blow. Once Ash is finished dealing with Jason Voorhees, he tries to blow off the rest of Freddy's head. He winds up blowing off the other half of his head, but his mouth's still attached, and he's still not quite dead yet. He's still kind of alive because he's Freddy. And now, of course, he's got no eyes, so now he ain't reading anything. But basically, essentially, Aba tried to stop him because it's no, we need him. We need him to read the book. We need him to work this all out. So that's where they're at, and that's where we left off after our second session. Meanwhile, Christine didn't quite know what to do, so Christine then decided to drive on top of. Unfortunately, our guy who was playing Lord Slug wasn't there today, so I just basically stated that Lord Slug and Cthulhu are beating the shit out of each other in the background, and they're just slugging each other back and forth and shooting energy attacks, and freaking Lord Slug's climbing on top of a freaking a lighthouse and jumping off and doing wrestling moves on Cthulhu. They're just having a big fight. So meanwhile, Christine tries to drive up onto Lord Slug's leg. He literally drives up on. She's able to get up on the foot and then tries to go up the leg, but he couldn't because it's too steep. And this, of course, confused Lord Slug, and Lord Slug looks down and is like, what? Which prompts Cthulhu to sucker punch him in the face and knock him unconscious. Then at that point, Christine just kind of drove around on Lord Slug for a little bit, and then drove away, and then Cthulhu keeps punching him. Then finally, Christine decides to, attack Cthulhu and tries to drive into his leg. Well, Cthulhu wound up kind of standing, while just trying to get his balance, not even realizing a sentient car is trying to kill him. winds up kind of moving his foot slightly and then accidentally steps on Christine and crushes and killed Christine. Now, the player playing Christine eventually decided, like, yeah, I don't want to be Car anymore. I think he's going to play Danny Phantom next time we play. But that's where we left off. Ash and Aba are on the shore with a badly wounded Freddy Krueger. They're going to try to, like, talk him into, like, they're going to try to put him in this negotiate with him. It's like, okay, you use the book to summon and get rid of Cthulhu, but don't try any funny stuff or we're going to take you out. Which, again, getting Freddy anywhere near the book's probably not a good idea, but they don't really have much of a choice now, do they? Meanwhile, Lord Slug's unconscious for now, and Cthulhu's on the rampage. So they got to do something to stop it. So anyway, yeah, so I think this group actually really wants to turn this into a full-fledged campaign. So, which is not what I intended for the Halloween game. But it's like, you know, it'd be fun. And again, as I've said before, for me, every day's Halloween. So we're going to see where this goes. You know, again, I don't know if I could get them into a situation where we would record on the Discord like we normally would. So I think I'll basically I might do this very, very regularly. This is where I'll just kind of, like if I've got other games going on, I'll do like a vlog like for you guys and let you know what's going on with some of the other games I'm playing or running. And for those, all 5 of you who care, I know this is not the most popular thing I do, but it's role-playing. I love it. I got a passion for it. So, and it usually inspires, it usually reminds me, hey, you should put something on your channel. It's a good kind of reminder to kind of like, hey, put videos that more people would like to see out here. So, anyway, that's the alternate universe Halloween Spooktacular. Once again, this is the Dreadpirate saying, stay scared, folks, and have a great day.